Hello, welcome to my roundup of June 2021's PS Plus. Usually I'll go straight into the games, but this time I just need to first of all apologize how late this is, but second of all, just say from the top, this is gonna be my final roundup. I will talk about it later on, but for now, just a heads up really. So let's do the games first. The games this month are Operation Tango, Star Wars Squadrons, and Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown, starting with Operation Tango. So Operation Tango was June's PS5 game and it released on PS Plus. It's also available on Steam and on PC, but its release date was the day of June's PS Plus. I immediately got really good impressions from it when I was researching to see like who I could play this with, and I have a friend that is only on PC and I was like, maybe we can play, but I wasn't entirely sure. So I waited on the news and it turned out that yes, there was crossplay between PC and console, and not only that, but by one person owning the game, you basically have an indefinite friend pass. So you can play the game free with anybody really. They don't have to pay. To play on PC it was so simple. Like I played with Brox, if you saw my video, he only had to download the demo version of the game, I think. Like there's a free version that you can install. He had to download that, and then I just had to share a code with him and we were just in the game together. And there was like no troubles as far as I can remember getting it set up or anything like that. So that's, first of all, really nice, because some multiplayers can be really awkward. Like sometimes both people have to own the game, which I thought might have been the case here, but the fact that only one person needs to own the game is super, super nice. So what is Operation Tango? It is, I think it's called an isometric multiplayer game where one person is seeing one thing, another person is seeing another thing, and you have to communicate and work together to solve missions and stuff. Like, my best comparison, I don't know if everyone's played it, but We Were Here does a similar thing where you're kind of doing the same thing but seeing different things and communicating it. When we were playing, the best way that I could describe the game was like a modern version of We Were Here, where that's like more in a fantasy setting-ish. This is modern, this is high-tech. You play as spies, and there are two characters you can choose from. There is the hacker and there is the spy, what's it called? Agent person. So one of you will be going into the building and doing the mission. The other one of you will be in the computer, you know, allowing them access to things and watching the security cameras and stuff like this. It sounds like being the hacker would be less interesting, but from what we played so far, there is like plenty to do for each person, and even we get to do similar things. So I feel like playing one, you're not missing out on an experience, because we switched. One thing I do like about it as well is that you can just switch. So we did one mission one way. I did the first mission in the building. Brox was the hacker, and then we swapped the second time. And where it felt different, it was also, there's equal amounts of gameplay, I would say. Sometimes there are these puzzles that, once again, you are seeing different parts of the puzzle and then you can put it together once you've talked about it, which is really, really neat. Some of them just went together so well, like it was entirely smooth, and I just think they did a really good job of designing it and making you feel like a badass when you get things right. And just thinking outside the box a little bit. I have high praise for this game. We still haven't finished it, but we fully intend to, and it'll go up on YouTube at some point. As far as I know, it's not a long game, so I think, was it 6 missions? We did 2. but the second one felt longer than the first one. So overall, this isn't a game you're going to be playing on your own. You need to play with someone. But if you do have someone that you like to co-op with, or are just looking for a fun little experience, I really do recommend this game. I enjoyed it a lot. I can't remember any negatives that I had about it, which is saying something really. The second game of the month was Star Wars Squadrons. This one released in October 2020, so it's not even a year old yet. So I was really surprised to be seeing this. Unfortunately, if anyone follows my stuff, you probably know that I'm not a Star Wars fan. Like, I know nothing about the world, and we have had a few Star Wars games, it seems. But I just try to take them as they come and see what I like about the gameplay rather than getting too into the story or anything when I don't really know what's going on. And this one was a really cool one. I didn't expect to enjoy this one so much. This one is basically like a space dogfighting game. The controls felt weirdly intuitive. At first it took me a little while to get used to them, but it didn't take long before like you can sort of start to figure out where you're going and go where you're aiming and stuff like that. And then I can imagine it's maybe the type of game that's like easy enough to start but difficult to master, because there's probably some experts out there at flying these things, whereas I found it quite difficult but also a good level of getting used to it, a good level of progression. Like you had different modes on your spaceship thing, depending on what you needed it for. And then obviously you've got your combat, you've got like if you need to go fast and stuff like that. And the game itself, the story is told, it's two different sides of a war and you play a person from each and you go back and forth. So it's an interesting way to tell a story, and despite me not knowing about Star Wars, I enjoyed as much as I played, which I think is really nice. There's also, I'm pretty certain there was online multiplayer. I must apologise that it's been a while since I played the games. I didn't record this roundup straight away. But I feel like I remember there was multiplayer and then I said I wasn't going to try it. But I imagine that can be hectic as hell. But I also, excuse me, imagine that you can end up against some really skilled folks and maybe get skilled yourself in the process. Another plus about this game is that it also comes in VR and PSVR. I didn't try it that way, but I've heard it's very, very, very good, and I can imagine it's very, very, very good. I can imagine it's head swirly at times, and maybe it's something that I will try at one point, just, again, more for the experience of doing space dogfighting, rather than for the Star Wars thing itself, if that makes sense. So yeah, big game that I didn't really realise that we were gonna get, but I thought it was decent. I thought it would be a lot better if you like Star Wars. And that's kind of all I've really got to say about that one. And then the third game of the month is Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. Like, when I tried to find information about this, I found it all really confusing. I think this is a remake of an older game or a remaster, and I don't know why I found it so hard to clarify, but I think this released as a surprise release on PS Plus. I don't think it was heavily announced or anything like that. So what this is, it's a fighting game, as it says in the name. You play as a character, you learn the combos, you fight. There's different modes where you can fight real people, or you can fight your way through the ranks and stuff. And I find it a little bit difficult to talk about, because fighting game isn't my genre, and which is funny because I like fighting, like in real life, but the games, it doesn't translate to games for me. Like, as much as I enjoy the strategy in real life fighting, I do not have the patience to then translate any moves in my head into button presses, which sounds lazy, but it just doesn't work for me. It's just not a genre I like. So I can't even tell you if this is a good version of a fighting game or not. But I think I liked the controls well enough. I remember that I struggled with some of the tutorial stuff that it was teaching. I couldn't figure out some of it. And then I worked my way up how I normally would in like a, I don't think it wasn't a campaign, but it was a, like, you know, you fight one person, then another person, then another person. They're all AI. But I got like about as far as I normally would and then got smashed, which is how you would expect for someone like me to play. I think the graphics of the game are good. I like the atmosphere. The characters were cool. I like that they all had their own separate martial art. That was really cool. And I hate that I've got nothing else to say about this game. I'm really sorry that that was so short, but it's a fighting game and it's just not my genre. And I do think fighting games are quite niche. So I feel like that's the second one we've got in like, okay, I've been doing this for 2.5 years, so I think that's the second one we've got in that time, so that's not too bad. But fighting games and sports games in general, I feel are very niche. They don't have like the mass appeal, or maybe that's just me saying that because I'm not appealed to them, but it's a tricky one. It's not my favourite game, I'll put it that way. And that doesn't mean it's a bad game. If you like fighting games, maybe watch some footage and see how you like it. Even though that doesn't really give you a feel of the controls or anything. And I can't even tell you how it holds up to any previous versions because I just don't know anything about it. Like, the internet was really difficult to find information for some reason about this game. So that's all the games of the month. And that's all the games that I will be covering on my PS Plus roundups so far because, yeah, I'm putting this series on an indefinite hiatus. I say indefinite because, like, never say never. I'm sure, like, by Christmas or something, I'll be like, oh, I regret not keeping up with it. And then just go over all the previous months again and then catch up and start again. That could happen, so I'm not saying that it'll never come back. But also, it's probably a good idea, evidenced by the fact that this is so late. This video is 2 months late. And I'm so behind with the PS Plus games. It's a lot more work now that we get 3 games at least. It doesn't sound like that much more, but it makes the roundup longer and it's an extra game to record. And when you get caught up in them for a couple of hours sometimes, that's a lot of extra time that I just don't really have when I'm trying to spread my time around YouTube, Twitch, real life, personal, just playing games, you know, all of that. So that's kind of the reasoning. And it wasn't like, it's not as if it's a really popular series or anything like that. I don't think anybody will miss it, which is totally fine. I always just did it for me anyway, because I always like having these markers of like this month or that month and then that year. But even last year, I didn't do a yearly roundup, which I wanted to do. And like, plus add into that some mental health issues. I think it's best to relieve myself of the pressure of doing these, and if I ever feel better about it, I'll come back and start again. But any feedback about any of that, please do let me know. If you have enjoyed this series, I would love to hear. And that's almost it that I wanted to talk about, really. I can not make predictions for the future. My predictions for this year were awful. But I can tell you the next 2 months worth of games and make some little comments on them. Also on this month, like I think June was a decent month. It's not one of the best months, But Operation Tango was totally worth it for me. It keeps on feeding this idea that I really enjoy when we get the shorter indie games on PS Plus. I wish that we could get more of them. Like, I'm not bothered about having longer games or bigger games. Next up is July, and that was Plague Tale Innocence, Call of Duty 4, and WWE 2K Battlegrounds. So that's kind of a action stealth thriller story-based game, a first-person shooter, and a sports. I was gonna say a fantasy sports. That's not the word. And a eccentric sports game, basically, not a realistic sports game, but a sports game nonetheless. Which, again, it's got two big names and the WWE game, which I will actually look forward to trying. So again, I think that's a decent month. It's not bad. It's not for me, but it's not bad. It's pretty good. And then we had August, and that is Hunter's Arena Legends, Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville, and Tennis World Tour 2. That's a rough month. Like, the internet already exclaimed their disappointment on August. Hunter's Arena Legends is some sort of online. I don't know if it's a battle royale. It's something along those lines. And we've had a lot of those type of games. Like, it makes sense to be free on an online service, these different types of online games. And I'm not judging it yet because I haven't played it yet. And the art looks cool and stuff. But, I don't know. I get a bit tired of all of the similar multiplayer games that we're getting. Like how we got Destruction All-Stars and then we got Wreckfest. Then Plants vs. Zombies, I don't know an awful lot about. So that's going to be really cool to just see what it's about. Because I've heard of the franchise, but know nothing about it. And Tennis World Tour 2, another sports game. And, like, throughout this series, I've always pointed out, just sports games are not for me, really. There was one sports game that I wanted, and that was UFC. And I managed to try that on Game Pass. I made a character, and that was it. I can't get away with sports games. So, again, some people will be happy to get it. But you would think the people that really wanted it would probably already have it. That's how some niche things work, right? So there's been plenty of disappointment for August. And that's all I can really say about the future. I can say that July had Plague Tale Innocence for free, and then like the next week or something, it was free on Epic. So one thing I can say to watch out for is if you've had any free games from any other services, there is a high chance that we will get it on PS Plus or vice versa. Also, Game Pass doesn't really seem to make a difference whether it comes out on PS Plus or not. There's been a few games that are on Game Pass that we have still gotten with PS Plus. So I think any game is fair game right now. There's obviously games that I would really like. I would love The Outer Wilds. I would love Nier Automata. All sorts of, like, give me some detective games. Give me some games that I can't even imagine that I wanted to play until I get to play it, you know? Give me some platforming stuff. Give me some roguelikes. Give me something different than all of the standard adventure, online, and sports games that we keep getting, and shooters. Like, these are the 4 genres that we just keep seeming to get lately. With the other, don't get me wrong, there's other games sprinkled in there, but they are the highlights to me. It's the other games that are sprinkled in there. And like, I really hope that they continue doing that because it's so bland at the moment. That's what I want to say. It's so bland. And I guess I've kind of said everything except thank you to anyone who has followed this series. I've really enjoyed doing it. I am really sad to be stopping. It's just one of those things where I have to, really. Again, I could always be back. We will see. I have lots of fun stuff on the go right now anyway. It's coming up to my 1-year Twitch affiliate anniversary, which is super fun. And I've got some YouTube series to start once I get caught up with PS Plus. We've got to start Zero Time Dilemma. I'm going to finish Operation Tango, stuff like that. My indie showcase is going well. I've got so many games on the list. And I'm just planning many updates for my streams and everything. We have a really nice active Discord community, so if anyone has been following this and would like to follow my join our Discord community. Join our Discord community. Feel free. It's CtrlAltNoob. There's links to that wherever you find me. So like, if you would like to follow more of what I do, you can, or if you would like to support me as well, you can subscribe on YouTube. You can follow on Twitch. YouTube is CtrlAltNoob. Twitch is CtrlAltNoob 0. Don't forget the 0. It's important. I'm on Twitter at CtrlAltNoob, and in the Instagram CtrlAltNoob. And then in these places, you'll find my link tree that's got everything on. And there's a Discord link there. So feel free to join our wonderful little community. We play lots of multiplayer games. We have good vibes. We have chill vibes. And that's what it's all about. We support each other. We highly encourage creativity. And just, we look out for each other. It's a really nice place to be. So feel free to join if you would like. Or else, yeah, join me in a stream if you would like, or just one of the best things you can do is just let me know. Just give me a message, give me a comment on something and say if you've enjoyed something and what it is you've enjoyed about it is really good. Because yeah, sometimes you never know if people are enjoying things or not. So with that, I have talked a lot there. But that's okay because it's my final one. I can give myself a little send-off. Again, I'm sad. I'm sorry about this. I do hope that I bring it back in a few months, but we'll see. And there's nothing else left to be said except thank you, everybody, and I will catch you in other places, and I will see you soon, hopefully. And thank you for the support. Goodbye.